Hello there, welcome back to the Ogre, the old Git Reacts, Reviews and Off Times Reminisces. Today I'm dabbling in a form of black metal that usually I detest. Not detest, that's too strong a word, but doesn't really float my boat. Because it's a bit too nice, it's probably the most appropriate word to cover all the bases with it. But there are always exceptions, of course, and Autrest seem to have come up with one, Follow the Cold Path, the album, and again, when I listened to it the first time, or flick through, because I've said before, I don't sort of listen to albums in totality when I first come across them. I flick through to see if it's worthy of further listen. And it's one of those that I took the long view on when I first flicked through it. I thought, maybe not. And then as I flicked through a number of tracks, I thought, well, we'll give it a go. And in the end, I ended up buying it. So we'll do a song from here then, from a corner of the genre that I tend to avoid. But as I say, always exceptions. Let's crack on. As if to illustrate why this one slipped through my filters, normally I let a song start and then make an introductory comment about it or initial impression, and it's usually around about, this is not set in stone of course, depends on the song, but usually around about a minute. We're now at 2 minutes and it's dawned on me I ought to say something. So something about this song that starts me drifting. And it's nothing to do with the fact I didn't get much sleep last night. It is purely the fact that it draws you in. It draws you in. Now, atmospheric black metal is a subdivision of the genre, and so you'd think it would be fairly specific. But no, atmospheric black metal is as splintered as the actual full genre itself. And as I say, it covers many avenues, and this particular avenue isn't one, as I've already said, that I'd walk down, but this one does get me, and it is all about the atmosphere, let's face it. You know, if you're listening to that part of the genre, that's what you need to be engrossed by, and I am. It just as it clearly there just lifted me somewhere else, and that's what we want, isn't it? So I don't know if this forms part of it, but as I'm listening to this, I'm looking at the album cover, which I've enlarged. I can see, actually, it's not just the album cover. It's like the art has been snipped from a bigger picture, and I can see more to it. Is that right? Yes, it is. There's more to the Bandcamp page. There's more than just the album cover on it. And I'm looking at it, it's sort of, it's very often that people say that an album is a package of the music and the art, and I go, bollocks, what are you talking about? Fuck off. But I appreciate to some extent now what these people mean, because I am staring at just an image, albeit a very beautiful one, and the music is in a perfect alliance with it. They do complement each other. Another thought that I had whilst listening was, you ever see pictures of somebody who's been rescued who's fell into a frozen lake, or been dragged out of a stormy sea, which even in sort of tropical climes, it's probably cold enough to eventually give you hypothermia, but I'm thinking more of a sort of North Atlantic sort of situation. They immediately smother them in blankets and things like that. And this is what this music does to me, despite the alluding to cold. This is a black metal cuddle, if you will. I've had another thought, and because they come very rare nowadays, I'll tell you about it whilst it's still rolling around inside the vacuum of my head. There's a smokiness to this. Now, I know on the album cover, there's in the distance there's a bit of a mist, but there's a smokiness to this. I'm sure there are times when you've been going about your business and you've smelt smoke. And sometimes it can be acrid. If it's industrial, it sort of catches you at the back of the throat and burns your blooming nostril hair out. And other times, if you're perhaps out in the countryside and you're going past some old pensioner's garden where he's been burning off the brush from his garden, he's cut a few bushes down or trimmed his hedge or what have you, you get sometimes quite a sweet smelling smell of, depends on what it is he's burning. And for me, this is as if you've walked into a pub back in the day when folks were allowed to smoke in there, and it's full of pipe smoke, and that smoke is they're all smoking cherry tobacco. It's that sort of smokiness that this album has for me, and this song in particular. And let me tell you that cherry tobacco smoke is one of my favourite smells ever. So in a way, that's a compliment to to this song. Can't tell, I don't think, but if the camera was angled down a bit more, you'd see I'm hovering slightly above the chair I'm sitting in. I am lifted that much. So there you go. As I say, the individual elements of that song would normally turn me off, but the way that it's composed and delivered as a whole really does make me feel happy. It's a sort of song I would listen to perhaps if something had particularly upset me and I needed a little bit of a boost. And that brings me on to something. There are elements in there that sort of cross hobble with depressive black metal, which for me is a misnomer in very ways. The subject matter might be depressive in depressive black metal, but very often some of the motifs uplift me because it's all in the ear of the beholder, and if you take with certain elements of music, it lifts you rather than drops you. So the album as a whole is similar to that. I've not heard it too often, so I can't go into any great detail, but yes, there. Hopefully you feel smothered with a certain sort of warmth as I am now. Anyway, clicky bollocks, catch you all next time. Cheerio.